Okay, welcome back. This is following live theory into practice for December. So we mapped out a couple markets simply last month with just simple swings and gaps in order to see what we can learn. And we'll pick a currency market and a futures market every month and do the same. So before we move on to our new batch, let's review what went on with our oil and Aussie, because that's what we were looking at. So you can go back to the post. We left it off here. This is about where we mapped it. And just as a reminder, we basically just use major swings and minor swings. Major being the largest reaction leg on the board, minor being the next largest reaction on the board. That's simple. And we want to learn from that. Right? We want to learn what price does. So let's see what price did. And this one provided a good minor into major lesson. Okay, so let's look at what happened here. So after we mapped it, this is how minor swings grow up to be major swings. And I did a recent post on this, taking out the cheap seats, minor into major. So, but let's look at the dynamics, because this is one of the main lessons for this currency that we can learn. See, look at this thing. It's got a rhythm, right? It's got a rhythm. And what it did is when you get right here, when you get up here, you can see we've made a new high. There's some excitement. And so minors, in a way, are representing more of a momentum situation, right? If they just keep pulling back small, the buyers are more eager. If they just keep pulling back small, the buyers are more eager. And that's also represented with the 50% here, the median line. See, the whole thing here is 100%, 50-50. Minor plus minor equals major. And so there's often an eagerness up here as price makes a new high. Everybody's in a hurry. And there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes it's appropriate and it will just keep going in these minor swings. But what we're learning with this one is something that I use every week in my trading. So think about it. Whenever the last time you were in a trade that was pushing and you wanted to be part of it and there was excitement, where did you put your stop? You probably put it right under here. And this is why you get such a violent move through here, because these are the cheap seats. These guys are getting taken out. Don't get me wrong, sometimes it's appropriate just to keep playing minors. But by being able to map this, you'll learn and be able to do your own research as to when these things are appropriate. This market, it makes sense, right? They were pushing, drop. Same thing. Pushing up here, new highs. Now we have a new major swing. Drop, right? You see the rhythm. It's showing you a rhythm in this thing. And that's current. That's my next projection. These kind of trades are pretty nice here, even though they're very scary, but they come built in with a stop underneath the lows. And that's how you catch a swing and not just a few ticks. So I'm representing it here in a median line as well. Major, minor, 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 drop. And you'll see this violent drop. See, when you get this violent drop, almost nobody wants this. Why is it coming out so hard? Well, all these people, they were long. They had expectations. Their expectations didn't get met. Now they're crying in their soup. And they're running for the hills. And that's how you get these kinds of moves. It's pretty normal to see in a market. So that was the main lesson this guy had. Although, I could speak for hours on different lessons. The other lesson I wanted to get across to you is that, look, we take out all of the nonsense, and this is our mapping live, right? Swing, and then you project your swing, your major swing, and then you project your major swing. and it's showing a natural rhythm in this market. It's just showing you a rhythm in here, okay? And that's a much different experience trading, seeing the waves versus being hung up on every tick and every bar and every news report and what's it going to do and where's my magic number, right? This is just, I'm trying to get there. I'm just seeing waves, right? I'm not seeing all that nonsense. I'll see where stops are, but I'm just seeing waves here. As violent as it gets, I'm just seeing waves. Either the waves keep going or the waves turn. It's easy as that. And see, notice when I draw a line like this, what's the line really doing? It's just showing us a rhythm. It's showing us a rhythm in here. See, and then it comes right off of that rhythm. And so now you have a continued behavior going forward, and you know when that changes, right? But get what I'm talking about, in waves, right? We're just seeing this thing in waves. Not in the day-to-day, tick-to-tick intensity that can bring about all the emotions. Okay, so that's oil. If you want, keep following it. There's your new map. And with the lesson that I gave everybody should be able to come in here from the blog lesson and just see simple swings, right? Major highs, major lows, major highs, major lows. It's that easy to map a market and actually project and see what it's doing. So now let's go take a look at our Aussie and see what we can learn from it. All right. We also mapped the 90-minute Aussie and left it over here. In the sessions, in our language of market sessions, we followed it. I'm only going to follow this up once a month, but we follow these during the month. And we were thinking about possible longs here. And we drew off of some bar action. We were doing some bar lessons, and we saw this tail where the sellers whacked it from here. And we kind of used this as a canary in a coal mine to see if they would get beat or not. They didn't get beat, so we didn't get long. So here's what price did later on. And this is another representation of expansion. It's a little bit different than the minor and the major. All right, so now that's live here. Don't worry that it's hitting the line or doing all that. They're not magic lines. They're just showing you swings. We're in this situation. See the model. Price was swinging. Price was swinging. Price expanded. And now this is either going to be your new reaction leg, new bigger reaction leg, or price is going to turn, or price is going to turn. And it'll be something like that. So we don't know which yet. There's no guarantees. All right, this is trading. And again, get a feel for this, okay? So I'll share with you a trade I did. So remember, what we did was we marked this gap to start with. Price tried to bounce off the gap and bled through it. Now let's just notice if we drag this all the way across, what's that showing us? It's showing us mountain, big valley right there. Again, I want to get across the feel out. So I'll show you a trade that I did. Actually got two trades in this guy. Remember, we worked on gaps, and you can go back to the blogs for that. Well, right here I marked this gap and got short this gap. with a stop above all this press here. Now, what kind of trade is this? So keep in mind, if you're mapping swings, right? That's my major. So I'm not getting short the major. I'm getting short a possible minor. That's what I'm doing. And so in essence, what I'm doing with this kind of short, and it's not that one trade is better than the other. What I'm doing now is knowing what I'm about. So I'm pushing a market. I'm pushing this market. I'm saying, you know what? This feels like momentum to me. I'm pushing it. So I get short in here. And what did I end up doing? I ended up moving my stop. I'm following swings again. Right? I'm following swings again. And I'm shooting for this lower line. I ended up moving my stop somewhere around above this guy here. And I got profit stopped out. So I'm just sharing some of my trading with you as I watch this market. There's lots of ways to trade this market, so don't try and imitate or think one is the best way. Sometimes my trades are awful. I have one more trade cooking, and I don't know what it's going to do, but basically I'm short this guy for the run. So we'll see how that ends up. So that's the review. You know what? There's a few hours worth of lessons in here. But we cover some of those in the sessions. But the main lesson was to, not the magic line. Here, just see the waves in this thing. Just see the waves in this thing. This guy expanded like this. Okay, just like the model. See, try and see in waves. And so now we have the possibility of either a big swing or this thing's just going to continue now at this angle. We don't know yet. Only one way to find out. Pays your money and takes your chances. Alright, so that's the Aussie. So remember, with this mapping, I'm just trying to see in waves. Clean the chart up. Just like that. If I told you to map this market, what are you going to do? Where's the major? There's the major. Where's the minor? There's the minor. See how clean we get? Don't be afraid to clean your chart up. That's it. You're done. You've mapped. It took me all of 10 seconds. Don't worry about what's over here and what's over here and what's over here and what's over here. It just gets in the way. Make a projection from this guy and say, all right, let's see what happens when we get about that high. It's that simple. Now notice, this is a similar situation to the oil. Busting a minor, see the zoom, into a major. We'll see how that works. Alright, so those were the recent lessons. Now let's pull up our new markets. We want to look at the CAD 90 minute. Alright, so we're going to draw this up and see what we can learn over the month. Just start very simply, okay? Pick a frame. We're not going to pick too much data on this guy, but we can get a feel for it. And it's swinging this big, swinging that big. Ain't doing that anymore, right? We can see that. All you got to do is draw a line and know that. Ain't doing that anymore. Crack. Alright. Very simple analysis. Keep it dead simple. You come to the market. Follow the instructions on the Mapping Any Market blog. Find your major swing. Okay, a new low confirms a high. That's going to be my major. That's going to be my major leg. And while I'm live here, I can project that. Okay? Now, find your minor. Your minor is going to be your next largest. What do we have? Boom, boom. That's my next largest. So what I'll do is I'll project the minor, about here. and we can project the major way up here. Now the major is coinciding with this gap. So let's go ahead and mark this gap out. Okay. And we'll just, don't be chintzy, we'll give it a little room. Alright, that's it. See, we take a funky looking market and we just map in swings. And then we'll see what goes from there. So we'll make a little marker here. This is where we leave off. Now let's go and have a look at gold. That'll be our second market. Alright, gold. Pick your frame, doesn't matter. I don't care if you're using this much data. I don't care if you're using this much data. Whatever amount of data, it should be easy for you to map it. If you're using this much data, just, well, what's your biggest swing? Let's see, I got a swing here, I got a swing here, I got a swing here, I got a swing here. What's my biggest? This one's about yay big. It's about the same, right? Doesn't matter. So if that's your frame, you can map that. Simple, right? That's a lot of data. It's a little messy for me. But forget all the nonsense and the news and the world's coming apart and all that stuff. Just look at price. What's it doing? It's doing that. So it's not doing it anymore. All right, so I'm going to simplify this. Let's practice a little not knowing. Let's practice a little forgetting. Let's forget what's over on the left. This is our official frame here. Okay, that's it. That's all I'm going to give. Just like that. And then we'll deal with what we deal with, and we'll change when we change. So if this is your frame, what's your major swing? Boom, boom. See, it's my largest reaction. I don't have a big swing on the downside. That's it. I have a swing here, but it's not as big. You know, it's behind it. So as I'm following the leg up, what's my swing? Follow your swings, right? This is just waves. You're just singing waves. And then notice, hey, you know, they're not bad. They're about the same size here. Maybe I can use that for trading one day. Swing. Oh, and that's current. So now we know, swing-wise, that we've just busted a major high. Right? Pop, everybody chased it, and we pulled back about the same length as the minor. And this minor will either keep going or it will roll. So we can project the minor and the major here. The other thing we'll do is we'll look for our major gaps. So it looks like we're really big, fat, ugly gap here, right? Seems to be holding the stall. Don't know if it holds or not. So notice we got a story, right? Now you can see the story of the market. This market is telling a story. It came down, it gapped down, it pulled back, it grinded back up in these minor swings up to the gap. This is how a gap gets filled sometimes. You can learn from that. And we're still grinding up until we're not. So it's this guy's job to try. If it doesn't, you can see where the cheap seats are probably hanging out, right? Somewhere into there. All right, so big old gap here. But let's just look at this recent gap. So this is a smaller gap to the upside, but we'll mark it anyways. This isn't for magic bullets. This is so we can read price. I'm going to keep saying that over and over, right? In the sessions I say this. This isn't a trade setup. We're trying to get a handle so we can read price. If you want to draw a median line, we can draw this guy. Like so. I think we'll leave it out for now. Just leave that there. Alright, so that's a wrap. We did our follow-up, learned a few lessons, and now we're following gold and the CAD. See you next month.